another dungeon delve. What are we looking for this time? Okay, hopefully your players aren't that rude, but most GMs reuse the same plots without even realizing it. And that can lead to some pretty predictable, dare I say boring, adventures. But once you learn how D&D quest types actually work, you can subvert even a basic dungeon delve into something unforgettable. In the good way. If you're new to this channel, hi, I'm Janet from World Anvil, and I love sharing techniques and tools for storytellers, one of the most powerful of which is understanding story structure. Because if you don't know what types of quests you're giving, you're destined to repeat them, the same quest archetype again and again, which leads to boring, predictable adventures. And it can demoralize players whose classes don't thrive in those plot types. So I'm going to share the different kinds of D&D quest types, including some you probably haven't even considered, and they're all stackable and combinable too. Because once you know your options, you can twist, subvert, and combine them like Lego pieces. Every new adventure feels fresh, exciting, and twisty for your players, whether it's session 2 or session 200. Let's start with my favorite type, the investigation quest. Information is the goal here, and there are a few different options. The most straightforward investigation quest is just a trail of clues leading to something. A person, a location, whatever. And investigation quests are one of the easiest to tack onto any other quest type. How? Well, don't always give your players the information, the location of the dungeon, the big bad, or the secret treasure. Instead, create a chain of clues they have to follow to find it. Or your trail of clues could be the mega structure of your whole campaign. Something insane just happened in your world. Magic stopped working, a demon ascended, or ghosts keep showing up babbling about blood. Your PCs must follow the clues to have any chance of stopping it. Another classic D&D quest type for investigation is spy quests. Gathering information through sneaky searches, eavesdropping, or, my inner bard made me, honey traps. This can be a fun adventure all by itself. Maybe as outsiders, they're sent to infiltrate a court or guild, but it also bolts beautifully onto all other quest types. And you can expand this mission to identify a mole, a spy, or a conspiracy. In these types, players use interrogation skills, persuasion, disguise, and generally sneak about. Or you might charge your players to solve a crime. Or if you're feeling really ambitious, a murder mystery. D&D murder mysteries are complicated though, so this is not for the faint of heart. If you'd like me to do a video on them, please let me know. And then there's the milieu mystery. Milieu just means place, by the way. Dungeons tend to be reused spaces. A ruined temple, a lost fortress, so add clues and depth to your locations. If the players work it out, reward them. Now they know it's a ruined elven castle, they can figure out where the treasure room is, or predict where the secret door will be. But investigation can also make every single other type of quest better. This is the hill I will die on. So how? Well, let's talk about crappy fetch quests. A standard fetch quest is simple. Go to the place, pick up a thing. Sometimes you bring it back, sometimes you get to keep it. If an NPC has your thing, your MacGuffin, they might demand a favour. You can create a chain of fetch quests like this, where each person has a request, like the infamous self-sealing stem bolts in Deep Space Nine. And when the thing you're fetching is a person, you have a rescue quest. Think Princess in the Tower. They're great for raising emotional stakes and adding urgency, because the moment you involve an NPC, things get complicated. Maybe they don't want to be rescued, or the captive rescues the party when things go south. But if you want to make your fetch quest more interesting, add an investigation thread. Create a trail of clues or add a twist. When the players arrive, the MacGuffin is gone. They must follow the clues to find it. For rescue quests, players might need to spy just to find the princess. This is instantly more interesting than go to the place and pick up the lady, which kind of feels like fantasy Uber driver simulator. You can add a milieu mystery to the castle. If players notice, they find the secret exit. Or maybe your players do a full heist. That's a hybrid type combining information gathering and a fetch quest. Again, if you want a full video on D&D heists, I'd love an excuse to make one. Let me know in the comments. Either way, your fetch quest is 100 times more interesting when you nest an investigation quest inside it. What's the opposite of a fetch quest? A delivery quest! Essentially, your party is DHL, delivering packages around Middle-earth faster than Frodo. Delivery quests can be boringly simple. The king commissioned this sword, please take it to him. Video games use them to get players to explore, and they're a solid if dull way of getting players from A to B. Unless you add other fun stuff to them. Maybe the box starts complaining, or reveals something about a mystery your PCs have been pondering. Suddenly, investigation quest. For a more compelling delivery quest, though, have you considered the much maligned escort quest. Yes, I know escort quests get a bad rap. In video games, they're really tedious. But whether you're escorting a princess's retinue or a merchant's caravan, escort quests keep coming back because they offer a lot. Travel allows you to explore landscapes and cultures on the road. There's the constant risk of ambush, terrain obstacles like weather and broken bridges, and often a ticking clock. Both diplomacy and perishables can arrive too late, so introduce delays to crank up the tension. But what if there's a spy in the caravan guard, a would-be assassin in the princess's cohort, or perhaps the PCs have been sent undercover to gather information? Suddenly your escort quest has intrigue and subterfuge as well. Or perhaps things start going missing and you have to track down the thief. Maybe the princess is kidnapped in the night and you have to stage a rescue. Like with fetch quests, delivery quests are more exciting when you add other quest types as complications and elements. And speaking of complications, there's nothing more complicated than other people. So let's talk about social quests. They're great overarching quest types across several adventures or even a whole campaign, which makes them infinitely combinable. You have your classic diplomacy setup. For some reason, your PCs, usually the least diplomatic murder hobos on the planet, are trying to broker a deal. Maybe they've been recruited. Maybe the real diplomat was murdered. See also escort and investigation quests. But either way, failing to navigate a negotiation can mean war. Or you can use longer-term faction play, where PCs build reputation with different factions or play them off against each other. This is common in computer games and you can add it to RPGs. There are reputation systems out there or you can build your own. It's better if players don't know what each faction thinks of them, like in real life. It creates more tension, so keep their reputation scores a secret and keep notes that nobody else can see. World Anvil's diplomacy trees have a public opinion and a private one, how they act versus how they really feel. Because we've come across this problem too, and we needed a tool to track it. They also automatically create a quick cheat sheet of factions that is so helpful for your players to reference. Or how about a mission to recruit allies as a large social quest? If you're building up for a skirmish or a war, this foreshadows it and gives players a different kind of adventure. One I don't see often enough is social mediation or incitement quests. You can channel your inner Andor, and your PCs can aid the resistance using their charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent to help overthrow the man. Or they might be sent by the man to quell or mediate a rebellion or a workers' strike. And all these social quests combine with all the other quest types too. Whenever PCs are trying to gain favor, use escort and fetch quests to help them make friends. Or maybe a faction sends them information gathering, or asks them to find a thief or a mole. For diplomatic scenes of all kinds, investigations like, why is this guy so weirdly friendly? And even assassinations fit very nicely within large social quests and break up the action. And on a smaller scale, don't forget that you can add social games like cards, arm wrestling or sports to other kinds of quests. That's a great way to get a barbarian or a wizard involved in a social setting and let them shine. But it's also good social flavour for downtime in an escort quest or a monster fight. So now we get to the classic big bad evil guy. They have a plan, they have evil help, and your PCs are tasked with ending this reign of terror. And sure, that's the reason it's called Dungeons and Dragons. We go into the dungeon, we fight the BBEG. But once you've done that a few times, it can be a bit dull. And besides, what if blatant murder is frowned upon, or dare I say, illegal? In that case, may I interest you in some sneaky murder? Because another option in this D&D quest type is assassination, targeted from the shadows with minimal other casualties or witnesses. There's a lot of tension to be had from that, and it requires more finesse and planning, and dare I say, investigation too. Plus it's great for sapient villains in cities, where out-and-out murder tends to be frowned upon. For a larger Monster of the Week style campaign, think bounty hunting, investigation and intrigue, and often a non-murderous option too. Or what if your big bad evil guy is a whole force in a castle? In this case, combining another quest type makes sense, because running at a castle with your sword is absolutely the dumbest thing your players could try. Investigation pairs well with all kinds of fighting the big thing quests. Where is the big bad? What is their weakness? How can we infiltrate the castle or lair? And yes, disguising yourself as an escort or delivery guy is totally an option. Rescue and big bad evil guy is another classic combo. Think princesses and dragons. But you could also use social rebellion. Encourage those mooks to rise up against the overlord, or recruit allies to help storm the castle. Because a siege is tough as a party of 5, but not if you bring friends with siege weaponry. Obviously, the best kind of friends. The next kind of quest is quite rare, but Pathfinder's Kingmaker uses it beautifully as an open gambit. It's exploration as a quest. Challenge your players to navigate and document an environment. Think of it as a hex crawl with purpose. As well as combat and terrain encounters, create mysteries to investigate. If folk live there, give them social encounters. PCs might even return to the city with a diplomatic escort from the newly found people. And you can include all those possible escort quest complications we already discussed. You can also challenge players to cross the wilderness to find a location. In D&D, that's usually a lost city or a temple of doom. The party might technically be part of an escort, or they might be the specialists, but either way it adds wonder, lore and atmosphere. Even with exciting combat and terrain challenges, just walking to a destination could be pretty boring. But now you know how to nest subquests, intrigue between party members, diplomatic encounters, or even a rescue mission when a party member is abducted. Suddenly the exploration journey becomes a dynamic and interesting chapter of a larger story. Plus, of course, information gathering and a fun dungeon crawl when you arrive at your lost landmark. Now, we've talked a lot about players chasing trouble, but what about when trouble comes to them? Defense quests, think hold, secure, maintain, are about keeping something safe or under control for a period of time. The most dramatic option might be defending a fort or castle. These are most fun when they take place over a short period. PCs might come into the fort as escorts or on a delivery quest, only to become embroiled in an unexpected siege. You can throw in diplomacy as factions within the fort arguing about what to do, add intrigue to root out a saboteur, and of course eventually you'll be fighting a big bad thing, like an army, or maybe assassinating someone who causes too much trouble. You can also use this setup for zombie survival in a barricaded setting. And you can have fun with resource management, siege engines, and plagues, which might need an investigation to find a cure. These can be dramatic situations when you combine quest types. Another version of this is a hybrid with exploration. Instead of just delving into the dungeon, you need to secure it and clear out the hostiles. This works best with finite spaces, dungeons, ghost towns, or on overrun mines. Essentially, enter the dangerous place and remove the danger. And then of course comes base management. Some misguided soul has put your murder hobos in charge. Maybe a castle or a village, perhaps a guild or tavern. Either way, now it's a quest for them to maintain and protect it. There are lots of ways to do this. If you want to get serious, there are kingdom building systems, or you can create your own. Oh, and check out our video on D&D Bastions, which is an absolute banger of an example. But once you challenge the party to protect something, start throwing problems at it. Use the other quest types to inspire you. They need to fetch a delivery stolen by bandits. There's a thief about, and they must investigate. Only a diplomatic negotiation will prevent their neighbour from polluting the forest. Sure, the big quest is maintenance and protection, but all the small conflict points are their own quests. And honestly, that sums up perfectly how bringing these quest types together makes your stories more exciting and less predictable. Layer short quests against longer ones, and beware of back-to-back quest types like escort, delivery, and fetch quests, which are too similar. And most importantly, use nesting, or you could call it an interruption of one quest with another. Fetch quests have investigations nested in them. Investigation arcs are full of diplomatic incidents, scavenger hunts, and the occasional skirmish. Suddenly, the typical escort quest or dungeon crawl is just the opening gambit. This story could go anywhere. If this diagram feels like a lot to keep track of, World Anvil can help you with that. Whiteboards for big picture, plot articles for adventure by adventure. And in the campaign management system, you can create quests for your players so they can see what they're busy with too. But there's another way that these quest types will help you, and it's kind of a big deal, because you can use quest types to plot and structure your campaign. This keeps things feeling neat and comprehensible for you and creates nice arcs. Use a mega quest for the campaign, subquests for acts, and nest quests inside them for adventures. Of course, each adventure will have multiple subquests too. This nested structure helps you as a GM ramp up the tension act by act. Because players do crazy things sometimes, your campaign arc is your guiding through line, and the big beat at the end of each act is your compass point. A single session might take an unexpected turn, but these larger structures help keep you on point. Your players will feel like your world is rich with action, but they know what to focus on. The stakes feel high, but they're not overwhelmed into helplessness. So next time you're creating a simple dungeon delve or crafting your next campaign, consider what other quest types can you throw in to make your adventure more exciting? Can you add a diplomatic encounter, an investigation quest, maybe a rescue mission? And if you want me to do deep dives into any of these types, like murder mysteries, heists, or exploration quests, just let me know in the comments. Oh, and tell me your favourite type of quest too. There is another piece of the puzzle though, that will help you transform your adventures even further. Have you thought about throwing in some side quests? To transform your side quests so they're as powerful and exciting as your main adventure, click the video on the screen and I'll see you over there. In the meantime, grab your hammer and go world build.